Hello, this is Cecil Sunk here, and in this video I want to talk about what Protoss should do in the early game against a command center first, and I also will talk about how the reaction I'm going to show you affects the later portions of the game. The reason I'm doing this video is because I've found out that command center first in TvP has gotten a bit popular as of late, and I don't want anybody at Hotkeyit to be losing to it because they don't know quite what to do and they let their opponent get too many resources too early in the game and end up losing because of the resource income disparity. So here I have a replay against my opponent's account is Savior. This is on North American Ladder, and I'm on my account Sunlight. So at the beginning of the game you should be doing preferably one of the openings in my PvT opening video, which is also available on Hotkeyit. I'm just going for a 1-gate fast expand, and I immediately spot, due to scouting, a command center first. Now, what you need to notice, or what you need to know or notice through watching this replay, is with the command center first, they're not going to have a barracks for a long amount of time, and they're not even going to have a second depot for a while. So, there's not really anything to do in this situation as a Protoss player. There's only a few different options. One of them is to stop mining minerals, or Vespene, so that you can maximize your minerals, as what's Vespene going to do? It's not going to do anything to have a cyber core up, and in that time, they're already going to have their barracks established. So your options are chrono out a zealot and pull probes, make a nexus yourself. You should more than likely do all three of those things. Chronoing the zealot and getting it across the map is probably the hardest of those three different things to do, since your opponent might already have some minimal defenses set up that can deal with a fast zealot. But what this video will be focusing on is just the probe pull, mostly. The idea is that probes have shields which regen HP, and if you have just a few probes on your opponent's command center, they're going to have to pull more SCVs than you do have probes. That way, the idea is that since they have more SCVs not mining for a shorter amount of time, it sort of evens out in your lost mining time because you only pulled less for a longer amount of time. And you can also kill a couple SCVs since if you have shield regen, and hopefully delay the command center for as long as possible. And in the midst of doing all this, you're going to be mining a lot of minerals. You should have about full saturation. If you had not pulled these two probes, you have quite a bit of mineral income, and you lay down a nexus while doing this probe harass. So first thing first, with your scout probe, try to harass the SCVs building the command center. Now you can see he has 3 total SCVs off of his mineral line already, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm already doing a little bit of damage because he has to pull 2 extra ones off of his mineral line. Just send them immediately across the map. I had a small delay to kind of pack them together, but that doesn't really matter too much. Try not to let your other probe die. Every probe you can save is one less you'll have to make later, which helps a whole lot. Now, if your opponent places their command center on top of their ramp, it's important not to let them do a full wall off, because then your probe pull will set you behind. Your probes get over here, then all of a sudden there's a wall of buildings, you're probably not going to be able to kill an SCV, and then you lost all that mining time for naught. However, if you place a pylon down, and you should be able to, you should have quite a bit of minerals because you were saving up for a nexus. If you place a pylon down, by the time your probes get to the pylon, you can cancel it and then ensure an entrance into the opponent's base, so that way you can harass all these SCVs that are building random things. Most of the time, whenever you see a CC first, it's going to be at the natural expansion, however. There you can see I almost got an SCV there. I'm going to kill this SCV building, and now look at how many SCVs he has to pull just to make sure that this CC actually gets up. He has, let's just look how many are mining. He has only this many mining, while I have this many mining. About 6 more, and I'm starting to get gas. I'm working my way up the tech tree. I'm expanding as well. Look at the units lost tab. I've lost 1 probe. He's lost 1 SCV so far. His command center is not even constructing right now. And I continually run away once he engages me. That way my shields will have a chance to regen, and he has to constantly sit all these SCVs here just to try to ensure that this command center gets finished eventually. Try to be as annoying as humanly possible with your probes. And then as the command center finishes, if there's not any SCVs to kill, go ahead and send all your probes back. You can see here that there's like 1 SCV left for me to kill, so I kept a couple probes back to try to kill it. Probably a good choice on my part. By delaying the retreat on my probes, I got 1 more SCV. And now the SCV, or the worker counts are even. Although I have a Nexus finished, and I'm starting to climb my tech tree, where his command center is not in place, and he had to pull a lot of SCVs for a long time, which meant my income was higher or longer. Now you can see how this probe cut, or this SCV pull, affects the rest of the game. In the early game, I was investing in a gateway while he was getting a command center. If I hadn't done anything, he would have finished his command center on time, landed it down here, and he would have more than likely more workers than me, and I would end up losing the game. However, now it's about an even game. I have a little more probes than my opponent would want, and so I'd say I have a slight lead at this point in time. You can see the incomes are about even, but I also am getting Vespine at this time. And I have a nice solid worker lead, which is exactly what you want in PvT. And since I felt like I was slightly ahead, I decided I wanted to end the game fairly quickly, and just got a whole lot of gateways and a very fast observer, and I'm just gonna gateway all in this guy. I'm probably not even gonna take geysers. I don't remember if I do it or not in this game particularly. And this doesn't really have much to do with either build we're doing. If my gateways were down slightly faster, I likely would have been able to deal with these Marines a lot easier, but if you're ever in the situation where Marines bust up your ramp when you don't quite have very many ranged units from your gateways, his goal is going to be to kill probes. So what you need to do is try to run your probes away like I am, just like so, and try to minimize how much damage he's going to be able to do. And now, even though I'm down in workers, I feel very comfortable because I know that he commit a good amount of his early game Marines into doing that. So if I'm just going to turn around and use all my gateways on him, he's not going to have all those Marines that he just sent across the map. You can see here he has 2 Marines in a bunker and then a rabble of 5 more, and that's all he has. He only has 1 tech lab and no research to upgrades or anything. So he's very low on units due to the attack on my probes, and I can take advantage of that by just all-inning him with a bunch of gateways. 2-pronged attacks are excellent. I have a robo, so might as well use it for warp prism. He tried to get another command center. I'm not exactly sure why, but that other command center makes it really, really easy for me to end up just killing him. This all-in, or this very heavy aggression that I'm doing right now, probably would have just evened the game out. I probably would have killed a lot of workers, perhaps delayed a tech lab or such, traded really cost efficiently. But since he took this extra command center, I think that's the main reason why I end up just straight up winning the game. I'm waiting for him to pull a majority of his army up the ramp so that way I can bust his natural. Since I don't see him doing that, I think I just continually working more stuff here. Engaging up this ramp would be a pretty poor idea for me due to the supply depots. So what I'm doing with the stalkers is I'm trying to pick off some of the supply depots, or at the very least pull some SCVs from the SCV line for now. And then once he brings his bio forward to try to hit my stalkers, then I can get a very good position. Suddenly all these units here, which is the majority of his army currently, are all vulnerable to horse fields. So instead of just kind of bombarding up the ramp all gung-ho, I just waited for my opponent to make a bad decision, so that way I could get a good position. And I end up winning the game really convincingly. All of that because my opponent didn't really know how to deal with the probe rush so early in the game. So now let's take a look at the second replay I have of a probe rush against the CC first. This was against Clonic Hash, I think it's Hash. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. But he goes Supply Depot and then straight to a CC at the natural. Which I thought was pretty silly because this is a 2-player map. I end up seeing it immediately and know that I should just throw a couple probes across the map and stop mining your Vespene. You don't need Vespene if you're delaying your Cybernetics play. Try to deal extra damage with your first probe, but don't take any shield damage on your probe if you can afford it. So here come my 4 probes. I only pulled 4 again. That way I have a total of 5. And this time, since the CC is at the natural and his gateway is only halfway finished at this point in time, you can see just how bad of a situation this turns out for the opponent. Right now I'm already up 2 workers. He's going to lose a couple more SCVs. Now I'm up by 4 workers early in the game. Now I'm up by 5. Now I'm up by a total of 6 workers. His CC's not finished. I'm starting my Nexus now. It's getting delayed by a long time. Imagine if I had chronoed out a Zealot earlier in the game. I decided not to because I wanted to just chrono out some more probes. But if I had a Zealot over here, you can imagine that this CC, along with these 2 probes attacking it, might have actually been cancelled. And I almost get the last SCV, but I decided to pull my probes because I don't want to lose any of them. And now suddenly the worker counts are evened back up. I'm getting out very fast stalkers, as I know he's only going to have Marines at this point in the game. And now I have about 9 worker lead, and the income should be fairly even at this point. And the rest of the game is me sort of just trolling him. I felt like I had a fairly, a small advantage due to the worker discrepancies, so I decided to make a ridiculous amount of gates, kind of troll my opponent and just attack him with a lot of stuff. And the game ends up going on for a very long time because what he's doing is he's making really quick cloak shees. So if instead I had just played standard and got a robo, the game would have been a lot quicker, but I want to just show how little defenses he has and how strong the gateway push after the probe push, or probe rush can be. Notice his worker count kind of plummeting really hard. I hit him before all of his production can kick in because he lost building time on his command center and lost SCVs. And then the game ends up being him having 3 workers while I have 25 harvesters. Would have had more harvesters, like I said, if I didn't delay this robo by so long. This Banshee probably has an insane, 17 worker kills right now. And that's about all there is to the probe rush. Whenever you see a CC first, pull about 4 probes immediately. Your goal is to kill a lot of SCVs and not lose any of your probes, and delay their command center by as long as possible. You can also chrono out a Zealot from your gateway that you should have constructed. Optionally, if you do, you're going to want to be a lot more aggressive with your probes and try to get your Zealot up to the command center before the command center finishes. And then your goal in that case will be to cancel the CC or kill a lot of things. And of course, try not to lose any of your probes. Utilize the shield regeneration, as SCVs don't have shield regeneration. And that's that. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me on the Hotkeyit forums, and I hope you enjoyed the video.